Hi, I'm Chris. I'm a KMP developer. That portal has someone coming out in a day to close it. I'm hoping he will do an effective job. Today, I'm going to be reacting to the a couple of videos. I just want to preview some of this stuff. Fair use, by the way, and let uh, I'll let you know my opinion about some of that stuff.
I don't even know if I'm going to put this on the second channel, but I saw this article. We'll see how interesting it is. We'll see if I agree or disagree.
Okay, so this is about how this tech giant. This is January 2nd, 2024. This manager at Google was saying that it's so hard to get anything done because it's all these fiefdoms, which means he doesn't like to use the word fiefdom. It just makes a little kingdom. There's kingdoms, and you have kingdoms inside kingdoms. Those are fiefdoms. So you have little barons and uh, people who have got a little bit of power, a little bit of money, and they've got their social network set up, put in a way inside the company to buttress their position
with the person, but
and to gain power. Because each one of these structures is basically a cult inside. Let me say it. It's a cult inside. So you either drink the Kool-Aid, and if you drink the Kool-Aid, it means you have to get your own disciples who also drink your version of Kool-Aid, and it's that this is just humans. This is nothing special about Google. This is humans. This is how humans have done it, and how things have been done for a while. And it looks like it might be changing for certain people, that or already has changed for certain people. 1099 superior race. Here we go.
basically, a former Google manager says the tech giant is rife with fiefdoms and the creeping failure of senior leaders who weren't making tough calls. I already somewhat agree with this title, but what does that word mean? Estate of land? Feudal service? A person's sphere of operation or control? I'm guessing that's just another way of saying bureaucracy.
It's like sort of a bureaucracy, and fiefdoms are very similar. You're inside of a some structure, some group and then you're gonna split up into your what's that number, 150 people max, and then it starts to get crazy after that. So if you're smart, you're gonna have one person have control of 150 people anytime maximum.
Former Google manager said senior leaders allowed the company to be filled with small, I'm just going to start saying kingdoms instead of this word. There's like a saying that I'm not super familiar with, but people say, like, in the corporate world, there's this thing called empire building, where as you get higher and higher into management, it's hard to quantify the work that you did. If you're like an executive and your org is doing really well or whatever, it's hard to say like how much of that is attributed to you. So the saying I've heard is that, like, at that level, they just try to hire more people. They try to make their org bigger. And
Right. You want to bring in more cult members who believe in your mission, who drink your Kool Aid because you're in charge of this whole whatever that thing is, and there's money involved, and ego, and notoriety and all that stuff, and it's all been marketed and sold and jacked up and oversold, and
have more headcount and things like that, so that it looks like they have more influence. Because if
well, it doesn't look like you actually do have more influence. When you have more people, you have more influence. That's not looks like. Even on paper, it might look like you don't. But if you have like high power people that know what to do and how the system works and how to manipulate it, work it, change it for their benefit, they're going to do that. And some people have been on this pony a few times.
they have 1,000 people in their report chain, it looks like they're really important, even if their org isn't that important.
Uh, that doesn't matter, sir. Once you get into these kind of corporations, that is what matters. You better believe it.
So I think that's what this is about. It makes sense when you have a company like Google over $1 trillion that there's a lot of waste. So let's see. John.
Well, yeah, that's not waste, sir. That's how things are. Look, okay, I got the Tri-Murray model, if you want to look at it. So the people who do startups and come in and like revolutionize the Sergeys and Elons and stuff. These are these guys. They also are at the same time. I know this is hard for people to accept, except if you're Hindu. That there's if you're going to be creating, you're also destroying. That's why it's got the different faces on here, because you're doing the same thing at the same time. So the destruction is people's jobs, right? So we're taking other people's jobs, other ways of doing things. Google destroyed the yellow pages, like completely decimated. The internet did, but Google just completely decimated it. So there was nothing like that. So, and most people, so this is like 10% here, 10% here. Like they're kind of combined together, these guys, but most people are here. This is most people. They want to. If they're gonna bring us. They're gonna bring us kingdom. They're gonna bring a fiefdom. They're gonna. It's just humans how we do it. Most people are this character. They want to preserve it. They want to bolster it. They want to tighten it. This is the conservatives. They want to make it their thing, and they want to make sure they're in charge. And lots of people underneath. So there's like lots of people believing in the same thing and pushing it up. Yeah, it's a whole thing, man.
John Belak said Google was weighed down by mid-level managers debating decisions for.
Yeah, these guys, these are not decision makers. These are decision keepers. They keep decisions. These are the makers. So if these guys think that this is the classic error, right? So these guys hire these guys. These guys kind of know that. Oh, I gotta tell these people. Oh yeah, I'm the best. I'm gonna do the things and all that stuff. But these guys are like, cool, cool. We're gonna go off and do this other thing. It's like, well, that's not quite how it works. These guys need a lot of encouragement and direction because they don't quite understand because they just want to maintain as is. They want to go home at the end of the day and go to sleep or go on vacation with their family and don't worry about this stuff. But we're super. Me and you and the guys are looking at this. They're looking at this right now. They are super into it. We're into it. We like destruction. We like creation.
Months. Other former Google employees have previously criticized the company over management bureaucracy. I mean, we all know, and in case you don't, I used to work at Google. In my defense, I do use the brand name quite a bit. I'm pretty.
Right. So there is a legacy brand because of the people who started it, right? Who blew the doors off of Yellow Pages and a bunch of other stuff at the same time. So these guys get the heroic things, but that's been at least 10 years since that's been like that. So the most of the people are these people, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is that I do see an opportunity right now because of this AI leap, and because these big companies still are going to be stuck in this model for a very long time, and they're going to be still thinking that's wonderful. There is this another thing happening at the same time. So, healthy programmer, a healthy software developer, go give him a like and subscribe. Also, give him a like and subscribe. I'm not get this channel. He has another channel I'm subscribed to. So, um, let's get a listen.
How are you going to do this when you also have a full-time job? I think that's one of the biggest things, I struggled with, and it's one of the reasons that I didn't do this earlier. And it also might be one of the reasons you're holding back or just saying there's no chance in hell of doing it. Hey, have you had enough of the corporate politics? Are you starting to dream about escaping from being an employee for corporate companies? Well, today I want to share with you 3 ways that you can escape the corporate grind if you're a programmer, and then 5 aspects of those 3 ways that'll really help you decide which one of them may be the right one for you. So the first way that you can escape the corporate grind that's pretty common, that you've probably already heard of, is you can become a solo consultant.
Right. So that's the whole thing. Like with this KMP stuff, that I have several projects on my GitHub, and I'm go do walkthroughs. It's because you can do this stuff with it. No, because iOS and is now a little bit more dominant in the United States than Android. There's a picked up demand for iOS, but now with KMP and using Compose, you can leverage your Android skills to now use iOS development or doing freelancing. That's why one of the paths here, but that's not the path that I'm looking at. I'm gonna do it if I have to, but this is not the path that I want. But
or a freelancer. This is basically when you do similar type of work that you do today, whether it's DevOps, programming, product management, any kind of role in the tech industry. But instead of working as an employee for the company that you're helping, you form usually an LLC corporation yourself, and then you go out and find clients, basically companies that need help, just like you'd be helping as an employee, except you kind of set the terms of how you want to work with them. So
right, and you don't have to do the LLC and you can just do a 1099, and once you get the hang of this, you can go to S corp or LLC or whatever. You can explore, take time to explore it. But you have a DBA. It's your name. Your name is a DBA, and you can do all the things you can do with everything else with your name as a DBA. So you don't have to go this LLC route to do 1099s. That's you don't have to do that. You will probably want to eventually do it because it'll make it a little easier in your life, a little safer when you start making money. But in the beginning, it's not necessary.
You usually have what's called a master services agreement. It's just a document that you have your client sign that says, this is the rules basically around how you're going to pay me, what I will and won't do. And
you'll still have all that stuff.
When I started doing this, now I've been in consulting for an agency for 10 years, but when I started working for myself about 6 years ago as a consultant, what I really liked about it is being able to choose, first of all, when I want to leave that client and go on my own and just do something different. Let's say that client's just being difficult and I'm tired of working with them. I can just exit.
Right. If there's something going on in these work environments and there's a lot going on that makes a lot of us are really kind of annoyed. If you're on my channel, you might be a little annoyed by some things. This is a way to skip it. It's like I don't really do any of that stuff. I don't do the corporate culture. I do this gig. I'm in and out. I do my thing. I'll go do a training. I'll come see you in person, but I'm not gonna. I don't do corporate events. Sorry. Maybe a trip to Hawaii. Okay, maybe, but like the other stuff that you know what I'm talking about. I was like, nah.
Exit the contract if it's in the clause. Also, not having to work as much overtime. If you want to escape the corporate grind, the grind is really, having to work all the extra hours and being under all the pressure and trying to hit all the deadlines. And I really enjoy when I do solo consulting that I can be clear in what's called your statement of work. It's basically another document that you give to your client, and it sets the terms with the client on what you're going to do, what you're going to deliver. So
yeah, so this stuff's all searchable. Just like the idea is like, hey, you're getting out of the employee mindset, which is going to become more and more abusive. And if you're smart enough to figure this stuff out and can do it, yeah, you should, man. Like, why put yourself? Don't go put up with this abusive work environment.
if you don't want to be working overtime, if you don't want to be responsible for certain aspects, like I don't want to be responsible for like disaster recovery, for example. Like I'm familiar with a lot of cloud architecture.
That's a good business, by the way, because that always sucks. Disaster recovery sucks. Like setting people's backup systems up and everything. That's really what it is. The job is like, okay, you didn't set it up right. I'm gonna set it up for you, and I'm gonna charge you. Blah blah blah. That's actually a pretty good business, Microsoft, which I'll getting into in a second.
Architecture and things like that. But if I'm working with a client doing some sort of software architecture or programming, I don't feel confident that things like, if like that section of the cloud goes down, it needs to be, geo redundant, that I want that level of responsibility on me. So I usually put things like that in the statement of work. But, there's a million things I could talk about here, and I'm going to do some future videos this year about each of these 3 ways. But one way that you can consider escaping from the corporate grind that's really pretty straightforward is to be a freelancer or solo consultant. Now, the second way that you can escape the corporate grind, and I'm sure you've thought about this before if you're a programmer, is to build your own software product.
Right. So this is what I'm talking about. This is the micro SaaS. This is the KMP. What KMP seems to be set up for. You got the front end with the Android and iOS using Compose, and then you have the back end using Kotlin and the serialization, all the libraries are all running it with KTOR. You can create lots of CRUD type solutions, which is a lot of scheduling type operations, business operations, to support real life businesses or some other thing, some other niche you can find that has someone. You need to find someone that's a material. He knows this a niche. He knows he sees a business opportunity. He'll get into it in a second.
If you've been in the industry long enough, you've probably been exposed to product management, sales, support, all these other functions that are around delivering a software product. And I think a lot of people think if I'm going to go out and start a software company or build a software product, it has to be, to the scale of Facebook or some big company.
Yeah, no, that's what you don't want to do right now. That's because that ship has sailed. Those people won. Now it's coming down one level. So it went from this international.
Excuse me.
Bad frame. It went from the international level, worldwide, now to the, and they also kind of did a national kind of, but now it's going to be going back to city. So now you can go back down to the city where you can start doing niches inside a city and supporting business, building these businesses up, franchise them to other cities, and then that might bring you up to the national level. So you're gonna have to build it up this way, and there are a lot of really amazing opportunities where you're basically doing the same kind of work you're doing for these other people, except now you're doing it for yourself, or a small, with a small team, and you can build these products now that used to take 20 or 30 people. With these AI tools and things like KMP, you can do it for 2 or 3 people.
Has to be like a viral, delivery model where you have millions and millions of customers. But there's a lot of very successful, very profitable software products out there where the whole market might be several thousand people, but they're paying a lot more. They're not just
this is the micro SaaS,
paying like $15 a month or something like that. So if you want to escape the corporate grind, one thing you can consider is learning how do you actually find different market segments out there. I'm going to again talk to you about this year in some other videos that might have problems that need to be solved by technology. And then,
okay, so these people, if you're watching this channel, you're probably technical. So there are people that are looking for the co-founder and then technical co-founder. So we're the rare one. There's lots of people that have these ideas, but and I'm looking for one of these people too to help out with these projects, to help a project out. I've already got one with the Fred's talking markers, Fred's markers. That's a kind of proof of concept of how the system works together. But I'll be doing another one with using less technology, using less libraries, probably not using, maybe I'll use the maps, who knows, to do a micro SaaS.
Then figure out, okay, I don't have, 10 other people working for me. I'm trying to escape the corporate grind. I want to work for myself. You've heard of the term solopreneur. That's what kind of these 3 things I'm talking about with you today are. But, if you want to do it on your own, you want to find a software product in a market where they don't really use a lot of technology today. And the solution they need solved, the problem, that they need solved doesn't require a ton of technology. I think
finding that person that has that thing, it's like, oh, right now it's being done on a spreadsheet somewhere and it's a mess and we want to fix it up and make it better or whatever. It's that kind of stuff. And so finding a non-technical co-founder that has the niche, that understands the business opportunity, and maybe can put two and two together. There's quite a few of those out there looking for technical co-founders. So if you're a technical co-founder, you will have, once you tap into this space, you'll have a lot of people wanting to work with you, but they, a lot of them want to, like, I have a great idea. It's like, no, you have to bring money too. Sorry.
One of the mistakes I made, I'll be honest with you, when I tried to start up about 10 years ago, the first one I did, I've tried two so far, was, I was in my own consulting technology job and working on really complicated projects, like I'm sure you have, that have, a really complicated stack with a whole bunch of, services, and some of them are microservices even, and, it's in the cloud, there's all this architecture, there's all these layers, all this process. And so when you think of starting your own software project,
teams of people that build up that fiefdom that have to support this, because it builds a feeling for them as a buttress against someone coming in and eating their lunch, which may be what's coming. These kinds of, with KMP, you can definitely do these kinds of things now. So you can either eat somebody's lunch, which is Excel usually. Somebody's just using Excel, so you can eat a piece of Excel. Okay.
Project, you can think you have to do all that, but when you're going on your own, you actually don't have to do all that stuff. You want to build as simple of a product as possible that you can get some feedback on from customers, get it in front of them, get your first few customers to hopefully pay for.
Yeah, that's why I'm pushing, like, the next project I do that's like this is going to be, I already have a couple that use web components, because web components doesn't have an upgrade path. It's going to be there forever. Till at least 2100. It's going to be, if as long as I have the web, this is always going to work. So it's these web standards in combination with the Compose for the mobile, and Kotlin in the back. We're using Kotlin on all the stack, or Kotlin-like. TypeScript is very, it's very Kotlin-like. So there's just the web still. You want to keep. You can use a lot of the same idioms. It's really amazing.
For it and ramp up from there. And the third way that you can escape the corporate grind, now there's more than these three, but these are the three that I have experience with, that I think most developers or people in tech positions are well positioned to switch into, is to sell courses online. Now, what this
Right, so that's the other thing too. But I'm not going to sell courses. That's not my thing. I'm just giving the information away to let people know that, hey, I'm interested in doing these projects, and this is kind of like the first video. Like, this is my kind of like what I see happening in the future to get out of the corporate mindset. Yeah, so I just wanted to give you my reaction to that. And I'm Chris. This is my channel, and I'll talk to you soon.